Good morning, good day, good evening, good night. Wherever and whenever you're listening to this, welcome. Welcome to today's Town Hall session. I'm One Clue, your host today, and I welcome you to the 27th Town Hall of Open Source Miners United. And we do have Scott on the stage. Hey, Scott.
Hello, Juan Clue. How's it going, man?
Hi, it's doing good, doing good. How about you? You've been busy lately, and we do have plenty new updates and fixes on the ESP miner, and something new is already coming along, and we will have a new release very soon again. So I guess that shall be the topic today.
Yeah, yeah. Been very busy. I don't see that changing anytime soon. Lots of cool stuff to be done. Lots of projects going on. But yeah, we have a pretty important fix in ESP Miner coming
Hmm.
out any second now. I think the last beta version from Ben 250B6 is looking pretty good. I think everyone in the firmware testing channel has signed off on it. I think. Let me check.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah, everyone
let's
says
quickly
it
dive
looks
for the people
good.
who are wondering what the next release will be to discuss what it is. So, um, one of my last videos I did about the update of ESP Miner, I believe it was on the version 2.4.3. Then we had a quick fix for the version 2.4.4, or it was not really a fix, but an attachment or some advancements. And then we now had a critical fix because something major was going on. So before we dive into the next stuff that will come along in the next release that we're trying to bring out ASAP to you guys, let's quickly go over the changes that we do had previously on version 2.4.4 and 2.4.5. So 2.4.3, probably most of you guys have already used or already are using that, which basically did a ton of fixes on plenty of things, and we were playing around with a couple of things as well as introducing new stuff. So the most obvious new thing in XOS with the version 2.4.3 was a change for your UI theme. Now you can adjust the colors for your XOS dashboard overview, so you can adjust the colors of the progress bars as well as the hash rate and a couple of buttons. Not everything will change, but a couple new things are cool in there. But that's just UI, that's just front end stuff. The most interesting part was actually happening on the back, so something that is not really that visible to the people, which was PSRAM. And we talked about this in the last town hall plenty of time about that, which does just allow us to do more things with XOS, which is freaking crazy, and therefore we enabled it. So now we do have a little bit more capacity on the device, or basically memory that we can use. We were really quickly going into an issue with that, and there were a couple of things going around. And after we released version 2.4.3, really quickly a couple of people were complaining, hey, I tried to update my Bitaxe, now it is no longer working, and it is not booting, it's not doing anything. I get a black screen, something is wrong, your update is like a piece of shit. And yeah, we quickly dived into that
So
issue.
kind. Your update is a piece of shit.
I, I mean, to be honest, let's put it in a way of a customer. If you're a customer of a company and the company delivers to you a new product and it doesn't work, you call them out as being idiots. Obviously, that's what
Oh yeah.
99.9% of the people will do. And I
Yes.
don't think it's
Yes.
any different to an open source community like we are, which is kind of insane, but at the same, I do get it. I mean, you have a open source mining device and now it's no longer working. uh, yeah, I could feel the hurdle and the stress of the people. So, long story short, what was the issue? A couple of manufacturers have produced bidexes, and you guys do know we have this bidex legit list where we basically just do one thing. We take a look on the website of the manufacturer or of the reseller and take a look if he's actually telling, hey, this is a bidex, this is the open source repository, and we will produce it like in this open source repository. So we will stick to all the things there. And that's the way basically how you get on the legit list. If you do any changes and you don't publish it, we won't put you on the legit list because it, it's just a list of manufacturers and resellers that we think are okay. We don't really know them, and I'd say maybe from all the manufacturers that are out there, I've seen probably maybe like 2 or 3%. All the other manufacturers, I've never seen a device from them, so I myself couldn't even tell if it is a legit one or not. But I mean, this list is totally on the Bitaxe.org website, and it is a good approach to give people an idea of where to go and not getting scammed, because at least it is someone who's trying to follow the open source rules, and therefore it is the right direction that, or the right approach that we want to take with it. But obviously it also has a couple of drawbacks, because you cannot be like a bitch and tell the people, hey, I need to get a device from you, I need to verify it, and only then you can get on the legit list. You might think we could do that, but think about it twice. It could open up other issues that we don't want to get in. For example, now we are restricting other people from being on a legit list for, I don't know, whatever reason. Or we it could be that we are biased. And that's the reason why we don't want to do it in that way. But we are drifting away from the issue. So we enabled PSRAM on the version 2.4.3. And really quickly, a couple of people were pissed because no longer their devices were working. What we figured out really quickly is a couple of manufacturers were not following all the details of the open source model of the Bitaxe. What am I talking about? I don't think, at least for one company, I do know that, and he apologized publicly for that. And he said he made a mistake, and he changed it immediately. So what the issue was is that there are a couple of different models for the ESP32S3, and the specific model that we do have is the N16R8, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Scott.
Yeah, that's right. That's the sort of the suffix, the last part of the part numbers.
Yeah, part
on
number,
the recommended
aka
device,
model number, something like
N16R8.
that.
What's that?
I said, yeah, it's the part number, aka maybe you can call it also model number or something like that. It is
Yeah.
it is basically the identifier of what kind of components are on the ESP32. So if you do take a look on an ESP32 module that we do put on the Bitaxe, if you would just take a look from far away on all these modules, all of them would look the same. But there's a key difference. Some of them have extra components and some of them don't. And that was the issue. We have the BOM, the bill of material, so all the components that you do need to build this device on GitHub. And in there, it specifically specifies that you need the N16R8 model, which is basically the normal ESP32S3 with enough PSRAM, with another flash memory in there, in this housing, in the silvery-ish housing. So yeah, that was a thing, and we enabled it. And you can only enable this feature of PSRAM on devices that do have this component in this silverish housing, so on the SoC. And a couple manufacturers were putting on wrong ICs. So some of them were putting on model numbers with N16 something, but not R8, which was causing issues because we thought, hey, we're just building a new firmware update and there's no issue because everybody should have the same. And there was really quickly a couple of people that ordered from Chinese companies and stuff like that that had issues because, I mean, it is just speculation of myself, but I've been sometimes trying to be a little bitch, so I posted really quickly on X that some of these manufacturers are trying to save a couple of cents per device because these devices that do not have this PSRAM module on the chip or on this device, they are like 40 cents-ish cheaper than the devices with this chip. So this was just a little bit of speculation in the first place. Then I had a little bit of conversations with some of these AliExpress resellers, and they totally told me, hey, no, we're trying to save as much money as we can on these devices. So that's the reason why I posted my post about manufacturers are trying to save a couple of bucks. And then it was a little bit of a mistake, because really quickly I figured out BitMaker, our beloved BitMaker of the Nerdminer, the inventor of it, he also made the mistake, but he apologized publicly for it and said, "Hey guys, this is totally my fault. I He instantly changed on his production side the components that have been used." And I mean, yeah, it is what it is. It can happen. I'm not trying to call out anybody, and he has done always really good things. So it is definitely a huge thing that he told this publicly, that there was just a mistake. So I do believe that's really great. And yeah, I don't know. So this was basically the issue that we had between the version 2.4.3 and the current one that we're sitting at 2.4.5.
The 245 basically changed it so that it will still, your device will still work
Correct.
if you don't have that PS RAM.
So the fix
That's
in,
kind of
sorry, go
that's
ahead.
going to be like a stopgap, right? It
Correct.
makes it so that this latest update won't like make it so that your Bitaxe can't boot. But in the future, you know, we probably won't be able to support these devices without the extra PS RAM.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So in 2.4.5, we put in the fix that will basically enable all these devices that do not have PSRAM on them to still function, but you probably will not be able to use most recent updates after 2.4.5 ish. For the reason being, we are trying to implement a couple of features that rely on PSRAM. For example, some of you guys have taken a look on the NerdX, the NerdQX, and a couple of these other variants. They do have something that's called historical data for the hash rate. So basically, it is you open up a browser and it tells you the hash rate of the last 1 hour. And if you close the tab and if you open it up again, it will not start from zero. It will start from the historical data that it will save in the PSRAM. So this feature will probably not be able to be implemented on these devices because they do not have PSRAM. But again, yeah, we made sure that still all devices can work with or without PSRAM. So that's the fix on 2.4.5. And on 2.4.4, we had a couple changes on the self-test by Ben. So that's, I don't know, I usually don't really do self-tests. This is more of a manufacturer thing. But yeah, shall we dive into the next release or the next updates that we're trying to bring out here?
Yes, yes. So this is an interesting issue that a community member that I'd never heard of before brought this up on GitHub issues, sonography, and it was at first it was like wait, this isn't a problem because in the past people have complained that the Bitaxe it doesn't have a password on it, so anyone can just log in and change details, right? Anyone on the local network can log in and change details. And it's like, yeah, that's true. You should secure your local network if you want to prevent that. The processor on the Bitaxe isn't really capable of doing a good job at securing the AXOS dashboard. Thought that was the issue at first. Turned out, sonography was, and another guy, Rem Koros, was right. So there's this thing called CSRF, which stands for Cross-Site Request Forgery, and it's an attack. It's an attack vector that lets malicious websites issue API requests on your local network. It's kind of wild, but basically, like, when you go to a website, your browser will download some JavaScript from that website, and it runs that JavaScript locally in your browser. And usually that's used for doing some cool UI stuff, some neat interactive stuff in your browser. But it turns out that it can also, make API calls to other sites, and so that's why it's called cross-site. It can go from the site you visited via your browser, it can then make a request to another IP address. And in this case, what the user was reporting is that you could make a malicious website that would access the Bitaxe API for a Bitaxe that's on your local network. So you go and visit a random website, some JavaScript runs, and that can issue calls to the Bitaxe API, if it's on the same network that you're on. And Shonography posted a very helpful sort of proof of concept, a demonstration of this vulnerability. And he made it so that, it would scan for Bitaxes on your the 192.168.1 and .0 subnets and change the stratum user, so the address that you're solo mining to, on all of them. And the crazy thing is it works. So we have the swarm feature in AxeOS, and that's kind of cool because it lets you manage a bunch of Bitaxes that are on your local network. But one of the side effects of the way that was implemented was it leaves you vulnerable to these cross-site request forgery attacks. And it's kind of wild. It's kind of unfortunate, but it's cool. We got this fixed. Ben put in a ton of work over the last couple of days to, sort of narrow this down, come up with a fix, and a fix that still allows people to access their Bitaxes through a VPN or remotely. So it still preserves all the functionality we used to have, but it blocks these cross-site request forgery attacks. It's this is kind of a big deal. Like you could embed this JavaScript in any old website. Like it's not even necessarily has to be clear to the user that they're even running this, right? It could be just a random website that shows some random stuff, but in the background, it's changing the details on all your Bitaxes. It can't get your Wi-Fi password, but that's kind of about it. It can get basically everything else and change just about anything else. It's pretty mischievous. So it's good that we got this fix. I think the patch for this is basically done. We've done a lot of testing on it to make sure that it actually is indeed the fix, and that will be released basically as soon as possible, probably today, I guess, as version 2.5.0. So everyone should update to that so that they're not vulnerable to these attacks. I think anyone that's running firmware based on ESP Miner, whether it's NerdAxe stuff, you should definitely go and look at your implementation. The Bitaxe Hex, the multi-chip ESP Miner multi-chip variants should look at this. They might be vulnerable to these attacks as well. So you should definitely take a look at anything that is based on ESP Miner, especially if you have the swarm feature.
I think it's this awesome thing of showcasing again. And don't get me wrong, we are talking here about a vulnerability, so it's not really that awesome, but it is awesome to showcase that it's not that hard to figure out that if there are any issues with our firmware, and you can quickly point this out and help this community and everybody else who's running this software to increase it in terms of security or in terms of reliability. And this is, I'm not sure if this dude, and I've never heard about him as well, if he's actually on our Discord here. But this definitely,
I haven't seen him now.
If he is, this definitely receives a bug bounty on that one.
That's a good point. Yeah.
This is something major. And guys, if you're not aware about this, we do have our bug bounty program. So there are a couple of rules set to this, and you can find them in the channel under server bug bounty. Maybe we should implement them on our new website as well. Again, I see currently. Oh, all right, but yeah, so we do have the bug bounty program, and if you're into that, if you just want to improve things or stuff like this, and something got implemented, also make sure that if you do think this is something that is basically a bug bounty, uh, then point it out to us. Because
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes,
huge shout out to Shonography for making a very detailed bug report on this vulnerability, describing it, and also Rem Koros also chimed in and helped. But yeah, I mean, this is great. Like, this is the way to do this, to let everyone know. Super appreciate that. If someone could like find something like this and just not tell anyone and like make a website to try and change everyone's Bitaxe details and cause a lot of havoc. So it's cool. It's really cool to do the right thing, I guess, and tell the developers what you found out. Responsible disclosure, I think they call it.
I mean, it could be arguable if we should keep it like this. Shall we keep like vulnerabilities on GitHub instead of having like a disclosed communication?
Yeah, the weird robot just mentioned that, I guess it would have been nice to tell us directly, as opposed to just publish the proof of concept, before there's a fix. I guess that's how the responsible disclosure normally works, right? Because the idea being is you don't want to like let this get out there into the wild until there's like a fix and people have had an opportunity to update. I guess we could add that. We should probably add some sort of comment about that to perhaps the ESP miner README or something, like a way to sort of contact directly and report these things.
Oh yeah, definitely. We could definitely make something work in that regard, I do think. I mean, there are plenty of people that are running ESP miner based software or an ESP miner directly on their Bitaxe. So this is definitely something that is helpful. But apart from that, if you do have, I'm trying to be mean here. If you do have a friend of yours who's trying to sell you one of their knockoff Bitaxes, just send them over to web pages like this.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, IoT devices, of which, the Bitaxe essentially is one with the ESP32 in there, they're infamous for having these vulnerabilities. So I'm sure this won't be the last. Hopefully we can get
Probably
on
not.
top of them soon and constantly be looking out for them and try and be a responsible member of your home network.
It's just so crazy thinking about it. And I mean, some of you guys probably now think while we're talking about this vulnerability, hey, this isn't an issue. My browser is basically on default blocking any JavaScript. Sure, but if you do use something like Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, or other browsers, most of them are not actually blocking JavaScript on default. A couple browsers are doing that, so maybe it's worth looking into another browser. But
Can you
definitely,
even like use the internet if you're blocking JavaScript? I feel like zero websites are going to work.
I mean, sure, it's probably going to be hard.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard, you know. But I guess, you can sort of enable it on a case by case basis, but like that's how they would get you, right? Is they provide some sort of website that has something you want, um, such that you'd be like, okay, fine, I'll enable JavaScript. It seems innocent enough.
Hmm.
And then while you're not paying attention, it just sends out all these requests on your network. It kind of blows my mind that this is even possible. Like, why would a browser um, let you do this at all?
Yeah, it's insane to be honest.
I mean, this would have made a rad web flasher, right? Because you could have a website that would just give you all that you could just go to, and it would just give you all the information about all the bit access on your local network and let you change things, batch change things. That would be fantastic. But unfortunately, there's no way to like, distinguish between stuff that I want to have happen to all my bit access and stuff that I, you know, random people on the internet want to do to all my Bitaxes.
Sure, sure. I mean, even with that, it's probably possible to implement that, but then still, we've seen plenty of people having issues just using the OTA functionality. Sometimes there is some mismatch in Wi-Fi communication or something else. I assume if you're trying to do this on multiple devices simultaneously from one web page, it's gonna be getting way worse than what we have seen so far. I mean, to be honest, it's not that bad. The OTA functionality is pretty reliable. I'd say 1 of 100 update tries, something is going wrong, and I do think this can be called pretty reliable.
When I was testing this, Shonography posted a quick JavaScript that like showed this exploit, and so I got it and like changed it a little bit and was running it on my own server. Like it had to be run on a non-HTTPS server. Um, it was interesting to see that it doesn't work every time. Like sometimes my browser would block it. It was very strange. But then I'd run it again and it would work. So not quite sure what's going on there. I feel like Chrome actually blocked it more often and Safari let it go through more often, but not 100%.
Hmm, that's interesting. Cypher Cosmo is currently writing in the chat. Would it be a good thing to add some other security features on the XOS website, like locking or something like that? Umbrella has it. Otherwise, imagine the headache with the same attack vector. Mm, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Most of the people, and we usually wave it off. Most of the people are nagging us about, please implement the password security feature into XOS. Sure, but then Swarm would be obsolete, and with working on this vulnerability on CSRF and having a fix that is currently being tested and hopefully being out later today or at least tomorrow, we're getting into the right direction. Probably there are a couple other attack vectors that we are not aware of because most of us are not into cybersecurity. And if you guys are, or if anybody who's listening to this later on is into that and just wanted to tinker around, please do it. Please do a little bit of fuck around and find out. This is so important because that's basically the only way how we can improve security and the usual behavior of your device.
Yeah, it's like we kind of are riding this fine line between like just IoT device and like full on server, right? Like if you have a full on server or even just a computer on your network, yeah, you definitely want it password protected. Like your PC is password protected. Any server is going to be password protected. It's going to, have all the ports locked down. It's going to be very difficult to get in, even if you are on the same network as it. But you don't want that for your doorbell or your light bulb. Like your internet connected light bulb it's going to be a pain in the ass if you have to like type in your password every time you want to turn on and off your lights, right? Like that doesn't make any sense. So we're sort of right in between there. We kind of have more of the IoT side processor on the Bitaxe. And there's no UI. There's no way to interact directly with the Bitaxe, right? There's only one button, and there's a very small screen. So it's hard to like type in a password on the device directly. So, I think we can do some thinking on this topic. I would love to keep it password free. If that is at all possible, I would prefer to have the Bitaxe be password free, because I think that's how 99% of the users are going to use this thing, right? In such a way that they don't want to like use any of these advanced features like Swarm or any of that stuff, right? They just want to have a low barrier way to get this set up and get mining. And I think, the Bitaxe being sort of the cheap way to get into mining and learn about it, like the simpler we can make that process, the better. Now, I realize probably a lot of you here, like me, are like really into the technical side of this, right? We want to hack on this thing. We want to like, make it go faster. We want to have 10 of them in our room. We want to like, we want to geek out on this stuff. And so our use case is a little bit different in that, yeah, maybe we do want to like be able to remotely administer it. Like Swarm feature is useful because we have a half dozen of them set up. And you know, we probably wouldn't get scared if there was like you had to send a private key to the device or there was sort of a more complicated setup procedure that secured it. So I'm not quite sure what the right solution is here to satisfy these two audiences. Um, but you know, we got a lot of like really smart people here working on this. A bunch of them are in the audience now, and pretty confident that we can come up with a solution to this, something that works for both parties. Um, and also as we start to get bigger, faster, more expensive mining machines too, I think that kind of starts to go towards a different audience. You know, this is much less the like, oh yeah, like $100, like I just want to like try it out. You know, maybe they start to go down the rabbit hole and they're like, okay, cool, yeah, I want to get like a bigger, better one, and that kind of has more of these features. It's a little harder to set up, sort of like that sort of like consumer professional um, line, right? I mean, I realize home miners are not going to be professional miners, but you know, there is a different audience between someone who buys a 100, 200 watt miner versus someone who buys a 20 watt miner. So, anyways, we can screw around with this. You know, I think for now we've got this vulnerability patched. Swarm is still going to work. There might be some situations where people that kind of have advanced setups, it's not going to work anymore. I think Ben got most of the commonly used local subnet IP addresses hard coded in there, so those should all work. Like if you have multiple subnets in your home network and you like to go from one to the other, that should work. That was kind of what a lot of the development of the last day or so was working on, was enabling people to access the Bitaxe UI and API across different subnets. But it seems like that's working pretty well now from what people tell me. I know E. Anderson and Mr. V and STS Miner and a bunch of people have been testing this one pretty hard. I think it's looking pretty good.
So yeah, we'll see when it will come out, but hopefully very soon. And then we need to get the drums rolling and telling basically everybody, hey, if you don't want to get screwed on your device, make sure to update. Because I mean,
Yeah, I've been
you
thinking about
can't
that
even
too. Is
you can't even tell. Like, open up a web page, and as you said, you can't even tell if this is running in the background or not on a web page.
Yeah, it's pretty sneaky. I've been thinking a lot about how to sort of disclose this to everyone. I mean, obviously we need to, like, this project um, has a higher degree of transparency than most mining projects, and so I think everyone deserves to know what's going on here. I would like to put together kind of a small, like, um, you know, about what's going on, like what exactly this is, what's happening, like why it happened, how we fixed it, that kind of stuff. I feel like the more people that know about these CSRF attacks, the better. I mean, I I didn't know about it before this either, obviously. So um, I would like to disclose that, you know, we had this vulnerability, we fixed it. You know, if you want to know more, here you can read this. If you don't want to know more, just update.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good idea to actually also put in the release notes a little bit more details about why this update is happening. Maybe I do know there are general like CVEs for major things. Maybe we should consider creating something for us.
Yeah, yeah, that's not a bad idea. I mean, the ones of those that I have read, they're very technical, and it sort of informs technical people that there was a problem and what the fix is. But and I think that's a good idea, right? We essentially have the GitHub issue that does a pretty good job of that. Um, but I don't know. I think it'd be cool to like let people know if they're interested, like sort of like on a higher level, like what this means and what, what happened. And one of the things we're doing is kind of like security pilling people, more or less, when they get into Bitcoin and um, start thinking about self-custodying their funds, right? Then they have to start thinking about, all right, well, maybe security is important, right? It's not like there's a bank I can call and get the money transferred back, right? It's, just increasing the general level of consciousness about security, I think, is a good idea. I also have a lot of other projects I'm working on too. So we'll see if that happens or not. But we'll definitely disclose this and get this update out ASAP.
While we're talking about updates, let's wait for the
So what?
last. Yeah,
Sorry, WSSH says seems like someone would have to target people who know they are using a Bitaxe. These ports should never be forwarded. This is the crazy part: is this isn't port forwarding. Like this is not opening your network up to the public internet. This is just visiting a malicious website. So, you know, like if you run this JavaScript and you don't have any bit axes, then nothing happens. If you do have bit axes, then they get changed. It's kind of wild. But yeah, you could, depending on what this malicious website is, you could make it to target bitaxe people.
yeah, it is really wild to think about it. I mean, most of the people are using the standard subnet configuration like 192.168 dot something. So therefore, attacking people that you know that are using a BitX is probably really easy because most of the people are using just the regular subnet configuration. But if you just change your subnet to something else like 10 dot something, probably it is not that hard to just implement it into a malicious JavaScript code. It's just a couple lines more, but um, the possibility that someone who's just trying to dirty implement something and crack on your BitX, that he's not thinking about other subnets is kind of high or low. Depends on who's doing that. But even just using something that is not standard is some sort of a security feature, you might argue.
Yeah, you don't want to do that security by obscurity thing. That's not the best. I guess it helps, but it's not the best.
Maybe it
Um,
helps. It's this maybe state, but
I
yeah,
always would have thought like, oh, there's not that many bit axes out there. No one's going to actually like target them. But I
there
was
are plenty of
very
them out there.
surprised to learn that the people are. I met this guy who he was like, man, my Bitaxe mining my the address that I'm mining to on my Bitaxe got changed, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. And he's like, yeah, and the crazy thing is I changed it back, and like the next day it was changed again, and this has happened 3 times. I was like, wow, this is insane. I happen to be in the town where he lives, and so he's like, well, actually, I said, I'm like, dude, let me come over to your house. Like, I want to check this out. So I got to go over to his house, check it out. First thing we did was log into his router. Sure enough, there was a port forwarding set up on port 80 to like 192.168.1.2. And it just happened that the BitX happened to get, from DHCP happened to get that IP address. And as soon as it did, someone out there on the big bad internet was changing his mining address. Like they had to know or were running a script, that knew about the BitX specifically and how to change it and what to change it to.
I mean,
And
it's
so they
it's
changed it to
crazy.
solo mine to a different address. And it's like, when's that when's that going to pay off? um, you have to be very lucky to get any sort of payday on that. Um, but yeah, sure enough, it's happened. And there was someone else who I didn't get to go see personally, but someone else was saying that they were getting their Bitaxe changed, and it was speculated because they had opened a port on their router to their Bitaxe directly.
So yeah, that's
It
a
kind of
big
blows
thing
my
to
mind
do.
that that
Don't
can
do it.
happen.
Don't expose the port to your BitX.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. The good news there is that like um, you either have to get a sneaky hack or like be aware of what you're doing. Um, you know, I think the case of the guy's house that I went to, he had gotten this router from someone else, like, and that person had set something up for gaming or something, right? So it was like, I think in both cases, it was like someone specifically opened up port 80 to an IP address on their local network. Um, yeah, don't do that.
I was thinking about saying something, but I forgot it now. And uh,
It's like somebody wanted more lottery tickets.
oh yeah,
Good maker.
definitely.
Correct.
I mean, let's see how long it will take for the people to update their device. Hopefully, not that long. And yeah, let's hope nobody of you is trying to be a little bit shady and creating a JavaScript like that.
Yeah, Duncan, right. Showdown.io. Throughout this process, I learned about that website. Some sort of
Yeah,
sneaky.
this is so crazy. So there's a website which you can use basically to scan the entire IP addresses on the internet, like every single one, and try to figure out if somebody is opening up a specific port. And you can set up a script that is just going through all these addresses and sending over a HTTP request to this open port and trying to change a Bitcoin address. It's insane and not that hard to do actually.
I think you have to pay for Showdown though.
You do have to pay for Shodan, yeah, but there are other tools
There you
as
go. That's
well.
all you got to do, and you can hack the planet.
Yeah, add-ons like no script. This is yeah, it's a good technique of not allowing any JavaScript, but you could also use
Yeah,
browsers
I
like
don't think
Brave
people are
and
going to really
Block.
realistically do that. Like blocking all JavaScript, you got to be crazy.
Yeah, detecting detecting this CSRF is kind of hard because how could you manage to make sure that you're not blocking what you want, but you're blocking CSRF attacks? Uh, so by implementing this fix and updating all of your bitexes, everything should be fine again.
The Midwest Chris says, "Will a firmware come out that updates all bit axes?" Yeah, I mean, definitely, we're going to get all the single chip bit axes. We'll have a release for those like today or tomorrow, that kind of thing, like very soon. It seems like the fix is in testing right now. It seems like it's doing good, so that will be out soon. The Bitaxe hex is a different story, but I think we could probably port it over to that relatively easily. But then again, that's just only the ESP miner multi-chip variant, which only some of the hexes use. So we'll have to talk to Tiny Chip Hub to get them to update as well. And then hopefully Bitmaker or PMax can check on the NerdAxe firmware and see if there's any issues with that and get that ported over if they do have that issue. Yeah, Hex is gonna. I think we'll get the BitX Hex stuff updated, but there's sort of more of them, so it'll take a little bit longer. But if anyone wants to volunteer to port that over, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, the hex is kind of an issue. we we also should while we're thinking about porting over things like CSRF into the hex firmware, um, we should definitely at some point try again on this task of implementing hex again into the ESP miner firmware because it's a headache and it is it is surprising to me. I do see this at least once a day that either on X on Reddit or in Discord, people that do have like a NerdX, which uses its own ESP miner implementation, they try to update with the ESP miner implementation of BitX because they think, hey, it's the same, but it is something else. So that's kind of an issue. Then on the
Oh
hacks,
yeah,
people
that's
try
not
to
gonna
do
work.
the same, but then they realize, hey, this is not working at all. And I've also seen this on NerdQX devices that people are trying to do the same over there as well. So it is kind of a common
Yeah,
issue.
I had my nerd miner plugged into my uh into my computer and I was developing on my Bitaxe, and I just like wasn't thinking and selected the wrong port. But you can totally flash the Bitaxe firmware to your nerd miner, and you know, TLDR, it just doesn't work anymore if you do that. Of course, you can flash it back, but it is really easy to load the wrong firmware onto these, and in almost all cases, it's just like a black screen. Like it just doesn't do anything. It won't work. Um, the ESP32 bootloader is very robust, and you can definitely fix it, but you might be like WTF for a little bit until you realize what you've done.
It can get a little bit tricky. But okay, I think that's enough about talking vulnerabilities and updates and changes. Let's talk about something that is coming up very soon. Most of you guys probably have noticed that we had server subscriptions here on this Discord server. They are now discontinued. We are no longer having any subscriptions on this Discord server. So you can also no longer subscribe to this Discord server and try to help us out this way. But while we discontinued that, I was working pretty hard on an implementation to do that with an awesome feature called Nostr Wallet Connect, to be able to connect a wallet and then try to have like a subscription with your Nostr Wallet Connect feature. So with an npub or with a wallet that is connected to that. Caesar 512 was talking about osmu.xyz. So if you haven't heard that, or if you haven't taken a look in the announcement channel, we do have a new website, and I was coming to this topic in just a second. Apart from discontinuing the subscription on this Discord server, we also no longer have the website opensourceminers.org. This one has been hosted by our beloved Sir Vapes, but apparently he's no longer around there, or we don't know. We haven't heard any updates from him. So this website seems to be down, no longer being paid for. We don't know. So what we did is we set up a new website, which is called osmu.xyz. It is currently under development. And I don't know how long it will take me, but I'm working pretty hard on getting this up and running. And simultaneously, I'm working on a new way to sponsor, donate, or subscribe to us here, so that we do have some sort of people that are happy to donate a little bit of money and want to receive a couple of perks or anything like that from this community. So that's the reason why I mentioned this Nostr Wallet Connect thingy. It is currently live. It is in the testing stage. If you want to test it out, nothing will happen apart from donating a couple of sets to the OSMU team. So we now do have a team Lightning address. Previously, we had the Lightning address osmu@strike.me. We discontinued this as well, and now we are moving over to GetLB, and we now have the Lightning address osmu@getlb.com. And if you want to test out or get like a quick sneak peek into the new subscription model that I'm working on the webpage, which you can use, you will find this under sub.osmu.xyz. The only thing that you do need there is to think about a name, think about an email address and a password. You will never receive an email, and the only thing that you can do in there, and I want to give you a little bit details about why we have this site and what this will do, is you can sign up there, and in there you will see 3 different tiers. I'll try to make this as similar to the subscription tier that we do had on this Discord server, so that everything is kind of the same there. All of them are currently set to 10 sets, so nothing really to worry about. But in the future, it will change to a desired amount, and after a certain amount of time, you will receive a perk, for example, a t-shirt or a desk mat, a device, something like that. We still need to figure out the perks. Everything on this page currently is just some random stuff I was thinking about. I do have this warning on top where it states, hey, this is testing, no perks will be applied. But the cool thing here is, what it will do is you can sign up or you can subscribe to a model that you do like, and on this Discord server you will receive, depending on what kind of tier you're subscribed to, a rank, you can call it. So it is basically the same as the server subscription model that we do had on Discord, but we are leaving out Discord and now going all into Bitcoin and going away from the dirty fiat money.
I'm all for that. I think there's two things we should talk about. One is what happens to people who are owed rewards from their previous subscriptions, from the Discord subscriptions, and
yeah.
also.
Let's
Did you talk about it last time?
No, we haven't talked about that last time, but let's quickly go into that. So for all the people that have been subscribed to this Discord subscription, I was reaching out to hopefully all of them. I was also making a couple of announcements in the subscription channel. So if you have been subscribed to this Discord server, then there was like one extra or two extra channels of like, hey, we are subscribers, and now we do have a new general channel. There was not really that much going on this channel because it were just a couple of people, but it was nice to have. And I was trying to reach out to most of them. If anybody of you who's listening to this later on or currently here in the audience, if you have been subscribed earlier and you never received anything because of any hiccups, then make sure to reach out to any of us and point this out, please. Because what we're currently doing is we're trying to clean up this mess and sending out all the perks that people have been missed on, that they have not been received. So we are working on that, and it is already going on. Yeah.
Yeah, right. We don't want to we don't want to rug anyone. I know that when you subscribed to Discord subscriptions to begin with, there was, rewards promised for, being at certain tiers and doing it for a certain amount of time. We want to make sure that everyone gets what they deserve there. That is definitely not our goal to cheat anyone out of that. It's kind of out of our hands. We can't run that subscription thing anymore. So yeah, please let us know. And Wonklu's doing the much needed and much appreciated thankless job of getting this all sorted out. So huge thanks to you, Wonklu, for doing that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was, what happens when you donate to OSMU? Where does that money go? Who gets it? What do we plan to do with it? Who's in charge of it? That kind of thing. I don't know. Do you want to talk about this, or should I?
Yeah, let's dive into that. So first of all, what's really important is a couple of people sometimes mentioned, hey, it's not really that transparent of what's going on. That's for sure, because it's quite a hurdle to organize all these things. But let's talk about what is currently the state of what we do have. We have a section which is called funded projects. These projects have been funded with money from OSMU with Bitcoin. So this is one way. There are not all the projects in there. So this also needs a little bit more cleanup. I think there is one or two more projects that belong into this section, funded projects, but that are currently not in there because I hadn't had time to write them up. So this is one way to take a look on what has been funded. A good segue to this would be to think about, okay, projects get funded, but how? So here's the catch. You can apply for getting a grant from us because we do have lots of these donations, and we want to make sure that if people develop new things and some of them say, hey, I don't want to spend my own money on that, please can you help me out? Just write up basically like a short letter, what you're trying to do, how much you think this will cost, and send it over to us. And we will take a look on that and say either yes or no. That's the worst thing that could happen is a no, but we will always make sure to apply reason for our decision. And then if you have been granted a grant, then you will probably get into the funded projects section here in Discord. And with that, we're trying to be a bit more transparent. You might now think, hey, this is cool, but what about the exact amount and where it is going? There is one strict information that we do had about the funded projects thing, and if you do take a look in there, you see channel purpose information. It specifically states in there that we are trying to be as privacy concerned as possible. So we will never disclose any specific amounts or personal identifiable information about a person. With that being said, even if you do take a look on the XPub from our multi-sig wallet, you could argue, hey, I do know where this Bitcoin is going to. Yeah, sure, but you don't know who this belongs to. Maybe you know this Discord user ID name, but still then, what we're trying to do, even with transactions that we are trying to do every month, we're trying to peg them so you can't really see, or you need a lot of energy to actually figure out if this specific amount is going to this specific project.
Yeah, I think it's just generally not a good idea. I think appreciated by the recipients to be like, "Hey, this person just got this much Bitcoin." Like, we don't want to publicize that. It's more for sort of their privacy than like we don't want to share off like how much specific money we're giving out. But yeah, I think it's an appropriate privacy thing.
So this is basically the first thing. We do have funded projects. So if people apply for a grant or are trying to build something cool and new, or if people are raising up bugs or critical issues for the ESP miner firmware and they also apply a fix for it. So this is the strict rules that we do have on the bug bounty. If you do find a bug, nice, point it out. If you do have a fix for it, now you get the bug bounty. That's the way how this works. So this is one thing. This is the second thing on what the money has been used for. Another thing is we do have, and we pointed this out multiple times, on this Discord server, we do have 2 of our moderators who are being paid for doing their thing here, for tidying up this Discord server and making sure everything is shiny and clean. So they do receive a little bit of sats on that. So this is the third thing. Then obviously we do have hardware. So if, let's say, for example, there is a new Antminer coming out, the Antminer S200, I don't know, we need to make sure to purchase this, to reverse engineer this and purchase hardware to build it and test it. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a regular payment from the OSMU fund. I don't want to tell you how much it is, but I can assure you it's not much. But yeah, I use that for buying hardware, which I buy a lot of different miners to tear down and test and generally equip my lab. So yeah, some of it goes to me. So is that it? I think the people that are in charge of it right now, the wallet is a 2 of 3 multi-sig between me, Ben, and Survapes-a-lot. And we're in the process of changing it to I think 2 of 4 or 3 of 4. We can't decide yet, to include WantClue. He's obviously a very important part of this now. It seems like maybe Survapes-a-lot is stepping back. We're still trying to figure out what's going on there. So yeah, maybe that's going to change. But yeah, I just wanted you to know who's sort of in charge of, who has the private keys for that wallet.
I mean, one good thing also as well is now that we do have our new Lightning wallet at GetLB, which is, by the way, an awesome thing. The good thing about this is I've made sure to set this up so that all of us admins, all of us, I don't know if you can call it main characters in this story, have access to it. Because the issue before that was with Strike, for example. There can only be like one person being logged into it, or one person who has put in his private information to be able to open up this account. And the issue with that was that only one of us had access to that. So now we use GitLB. We have hosted this in the cloud for a small amount of sats per month. But now everybody of us does have access to it and can log into this whenever we need to, which is great and opens up more things for us to do, especially going into this task of trying to be as transparent as possible. As I said before that, I'm currently reworking our Open Source Miners United webpage on osmu.xyz. And the thing is, what I would love to do is to have like, maybe this is too heavy to do, but I probably have seen this somewhere. What I would love to do, I would die to implement this, would be to have a section on the webpage where you can see live if a transaction has happened on our wallet. Just to see that.
That would be cool.
I've seen that somewhere. I don't know how to implement that. And for those techies under here that want to know that, the page of awesomeu.xyz, I was thinking about using the Angular framework. I ditched that. It was looking like shit. I'm not really that good into front end, but I will change back to Next.js. So it is definitely possible to do this on Next.js. So yeah, I need to dive into that. Please, if anybody of you want to just help out on creating this new website, I would love to get a little bit help on that, because I do have still my main job and therefore I can't work all the time on this. The current website, yeah, Mr. V, that would be awesome. That would be so awesome. I would die for some help. The current web page is in the Bitaxe org GitHub. It is currently set to private because I was testing something on the dev branch, but I will set it to public later today after this town hall, because then I can delete the dev branch again. I was just trying shit out with Angular, but in order not to highlight how bad I am at Angular, I want to delete that branch before I do press on public. So the first thing, obviously, there is to figure out a good UI theme thingy. I do have something in mind, which I want to strictly build on top of, because I think this would highlight it. And I noticed that, especially with companies like BeMind that helped on a ton of things. For example, the bitaxe.org website will receive a refresh of its design very soon as well.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh.
It got me thinking into we need to do a little bit more appealing to the people. Yeah, we will talk about this later.
Yeah, sorry. I am busted.
No, it's okay. So yeah, I really appreciated people helping out. And I can't say this often enough. It is so awesome having all of you here and helping each other out, no matter what you do. Some of you are into hardware, some of you are into software. It is just so amazing what this project has achieved so far. I'm sometimes overwhelmed.
Hell yeah. Let's fucking go.
Alrighty, with that, I do think we've talked about many topics today. Guys, today I forgot this, but usually I do tell you, hey, if you do have any questions, make sure to raise your hand. If you want to come up on stage, chat with us, ask anything, you can always do that. Or if you don't want to be recorded with your voice, you can always use the town hall chat. So this is your time to shine. If you do have any specific questions, we had a question about releasing anything that is not SHA-256. I try to be as gentle as possible. No fucking way.
I like how you put that. No fucking way. I mean, you know, we only got limited time on this earth. Ain't no time for shit coins.
To be as honest as possible, we do have like this core team of developers who are working specifically on ESP Miner and the Bitaxe hardware. I'm pretty sure, or I'm pretty confident, at least that's what I can say, that none of us is interested in anything else than SHA-256. But if you want to put in the amount of time and tell, hey, I've created the LTC eggs or the whatever shitty eggs, do that, please. Open source is the way to go. We don't want to downgrade you or say no, that's a bad idea. We are just not interested in that. So don't take this as a backdraw or anything else. If you want to spend the time on that and developing something like this, please do it. Open source is the way to help the people and the globe. That's what we do believe in. That's why we are called Open Source Miners United. But this team that we are currently, we are only interested in BTC and SHA-256. And that's probably not going to change.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain like I don't know, joy, pleasure, mission, purpose that comes out of working on Bitcoin because, in my mind, Bitcoin is our best hope at fixing the money, fixing the world right now. And I think going all in on Bitcoin with an attempt to, make sure it's properly decentralized so that it can properly fix the world, like it seems to have the potential to do. I think we've got to focus on that. And I think what Robinhood.exe pound 820072907 said was that, you can get more blocks on Litecoin. Maybe it's more profitable for a given watt, but it's like, in my mind, it doesn't matter, right? Like, we're not working on this for some short term, like tiny little profits here. Like, sure, you can do that. You can do that with a Bitaxe. You can make a couple sats a day, but we're trying to fucking fix the world here with Bitcoin. This is a big project. Mining centralization is a threat to Bitcoin, and we are trying to make that less of an issue. Mining centralization less of an issue.
Have you seen this fight between Ben and Jake on X?
Jake? No.
It's funny. Jake was posting that public pool is a threat to Bitcoin.
Oh, nice. Okay, I'm very curious to see how what that argument is.
No, it's sorry for interrupting you on your current take there, but
Yeah.
I
No,
think it is fitting into
that's
it.
amazing. Ben is very good with these arguments, so I'm very curious to see how this went down. I think
Oh yeah,
I can guess who
definitely
won
look
this
it up. It
argument.
was funny.
Okay, that's awesome.
We do have a question from Mushroom. He was asking, what are your thoughts on SHA-256 security as quantum computing is around the corner? I do have concerns about that. Do you think Bitcoin protocol will migrate to a hashing algorithm which has a higher bit count? Around the corner in... Okay, first thing. I don't think that quantum computing that could attack SHA-256 is around the corner. If you do take a look on quantum computing right now, and I'm not up to date on all these topics, but my latest update on that is that we are far away from something that is executable in a profound amount of things. Like, maybe you can calculate a couple easy equations, but SHA-256, I do have high doubts that that's going to be around the corner. And let's do this wishful thinking, it is around the corner. Even then, we had this question with Satoshi back in 2010 on Bitcoin Talk, where there was this discussion basically, what will happen? And the answer is pretty simple. It is not that hard to switch away from SHA-256 to something else. And that's what I do believe. But yeah.
Yeah, I like what my thought too, but is what Mr. V said is that, if we start breaking the best encryption we have with quantum computing, then Bitcoin is just a small part of the worries of the world.
I mean,
right? Lots
it.
of things are going to break.
SSH.
Lots of things are going to break. So Yeah, I don't think it's around the corner, and I don't think that. Um, yeah, I'm not losing any sleep over it right now.
I do have this discussion about quantum computing regularly. Um, it is something that people are always interested in. And I don't know why, but it seems like in the last 2 months there was this sort of hype. What if quantum computing is way too good and can break Bitcoin? You guys will lose all your Bitcoin. Bitcoin is shit. Yeah, go fuck yourself. That's my answer. And second is, you don't understand anything about quantum computing, so don't write an article about it. And the third thing about it is, if you don't know shit about Bitcoin, leave this stuff alone. So, as you said, Bitcoin itself is probably a high attack vector, and people would die for your Bitcoin probably. People have killed for less valuable things. So, yeah, that's definitely gonna happen. But the good thing is, we as human beings are really good at thinking ahead of issues and scrambling our head around issues that never have happened or will happen for a long period of time. Even now, quantum computing in a amount that is usable is not there. There are still or already people thinking about quantum compute safe algorithms. So, yeah,
Yeah, also like if someone just like magically develops this badass, SHA-256 breaking quantum computer in their basement without telling anyone, and they decide, all right, I'm gonna like go steal some money now. And why would they steal the Bitcoin when they could just go to your bank and steal it, right? I mean, this is the same encryption that's used to secure all of the world's money.
yeah, and also like the encryption algorithm of SHA-256 is not only used in Bitcoin, it's used in so many things. The whole internet would be your attack vector.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could go and steal a bunch of Bitcoin, but as soon as someone realized that you had done that, the Bitcoin wouldn't be worth anything. And so now you just have a bunch of worthless Bitcoin. It seems like it'd be better to go after the dollars in the bank, right?
Yeah, go after some money that is printed out of thin air. Sure.
Right? You're gonna somehow like hack someone's private keys. I guess what you would have to do, this is kind of fun to think about, is like what if you realized how to break Bitcoin? Like how would you extract the most amount of value from it? Assuming you didn't want to just like be the good guy and fix it. Um, Assuming you wanted to like get the most amount of money out of it. Like I think you'd need to just sort of slowly like extract a little bit of Bitcoin, over a long period of time and sell it. Obviously, you don't want to hold the Bitcoin if you've broken it. Um, but it's kind of a risk because at some point maybe it'll get out there that Bitcoin has been hacked, in which case, you know, it would not be worth anything anymore. So your whole get rich quick scheme is ruined then.
Also, even if this would happen, we have seen this in the past. I believe 1 or 2 times. We can always hold the blockchain and roll back to a safe state. We have done this. The Bitcoin network is the only network on this planet that has the highest uptime. It has only been down for 2 times, if I'm not mistaken, or three. So, I mean, think about it. The double spending problem that has been fixed with Bitcoin. This was the big factor in this whole game. And now by breaking the encryption behind it, it would open up Pandora's box of what you can break as well. And doing a rollback to safe state where nothing has been broken and just moving over to a new algorithm, basically it's a couple lines of code, to put it in easy terms. Of course, it will require a lot more work to do that, but I guarantee you, if we do figure out, hey, SHA-256 is explicitly breakable by this quantum computer and they're trying it right now and they're doing it, I guarantee you the whole Bitcoin world will be on fire and everybody is begging for a quantum compute safe algorithm and switch over to this immediately.
I think we've got some time.
We got some time, definitely.
But this would be a very cool movie. All right. I'd like to see that. And then, like Bitmaker says, right? I think you want to like steal the Bitcoin and use it to buy cows. Right. And then you'll have this whole pasture full of cows and, other actually useful things. Probably not even gold, right? Like you want like actually useful things like cows. And gasoline and stuff, right? So you can like slowly steal the Bitcoin, buy cows, and just see how long you can make that work before the whole world just crumbles around you. Bullets, there we go. Maybe some guns too.
You Americans are crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you guys can't even buy the bullets, so that's not an option.
All right. I think with that, we are pretty good to close up today's town hall. It was awesome being here again and giving you guys a little bit of an update what's going on, and that we are having like a live vulnerability. So if you're a shady dude and we figure this out, be aware. Our Bitaxes will come for you. whatever. So it was nice being here, and I hopefully hope that you guys are going to be here again in 2 weeks for the next town hall. Till then, I thank everybody for tuning in. I also thank everybody who's listening to this later on. And if you want to consider checking us out, don't hesitate to check out discord.gg/awesomeU. It is an awesome community with lots of interesting and likewise people in this ecosystem. Till then, thanks for being here. Peace out.
Later.